let's get into this. We wanted to talk a little bit about customer-centric approach to marketing. And, one of the things that Sarah and I spoke about was leveraging kind of customer journey and first-party data, and really curious to hear your perspective on how you've approached that, your marketing efforts to lean towards a customer-centric approach.
Sure. So customer centricity is a buzzword, right? Everybody's kind of on their different journeys towards customer centricity. I've been with MGM for 15 years, so I can say this. We haven't always been the most customer centric. We've always kind of had a sense of, being the largest player on the strip, like if we build it, they will come. We knew coming out of 2020 and 2021, we had to think differently. So what started as an opportunity to really think through segmentation, quite simply, is how are we segmenting our customers? How are we going after them? What do they look like? And at that point, it really was as simple as, just kind of a couple of filters. Are they local? Are they not local? Are they gamers? Are they not gamers? Are they short haul? Or are they long haul? And so we spent the better half of 2021 into 22 completely overhauling how we look at segmentation. Well, what you can imagine came from that was all these tentacles of other capabilities and kind of philosophical thinkings that we needed to stand up. So in order to do that, we had to start truly looking at how we think about personalization. Another kind of word. Everyone's on a different journey of personalization. And personalization is not a thing, right? It's something you have to bet across kind of your entire marketing ecosystem. So for us, it was, okay, how do we think about personalization and the tentacles of how that lives across all of our marketing channels? And then peel back one more layer of the onion. It was, how do we create content? We had historically created content in a very situational approach. We had big campaigns that you create content with, exorbitant talent renewal fees, or you had social content for this one event, this one moment in time, or we had a whole bunch of architectural photos, but we didn't have that kind of centralized evergreen content library, that channel agnostic content that you could pick up and slice and dice and use as needed. And so how do you really go hyper segmenting your customer database? How do you really try to employ this thought around personalization if you don't have the right content to talk to all those people? So what started as like this exercise in segmentation turned into a complete rethinking of how we market here at MGM Resorts and standing up all these capabilities. Oh, and you do it coming off of a pandemic, so you don't have a whole bunch of extra headcount or a whole bunch of extra resources. So for us in brand marketing, it was really like starting with a tiger team to kind of start to just create stuff. I think one of the biggest issues the big brands like ours have is it's easy to plan. And we knew, and we had always been that way, analysis paralysis. We had to just stand up a tiger team and start doing stuff. And that's exactly what we did. And then that started to grow and that started to scale. And it started to kind of roll out across the entire company, that thinking around, oh, I should be creating content for this very specific, and it's never going to be one-to-one, right? You find your efficiencies along the way, but I should be creating content with this customer in mind. And it's such a simple notion, but really hard to turn that battleship. And so coming into 22, it was just that. It was standing up all new capabilities around personalization, content development, segmentation, offer strategy to ultimately start our journey towards truly being customer-centric.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a lot.
As a marketer, I think as marketers, it's our jobs to really truly understand the customer, and how do we think about that as it relates to the customer journey and getting those insights through that segmentation study. We embarked on that as well last year from a brand marketing perspective, but it's, it was a catalyst for the organization in its entirety. And so we were able to use kind of that customer journey framework and really identify those moments that matter, not just for our brand, but for our customers. And so how can we service our customers a lot better? How did that inform your creative approach? Like, how did that kind of, your creative process, some of the insights that you maybe learned through that segmentation study?
Well, it kind of unveiled that we had a lot of broken bridges throughout the creative process, and that, content was being developed all across the company by different teams in different ways, and not everybody was coming from that same North Star, whether it be the customer or the brand at hand. And so for us, it was about, first and foremost, getting our house in order, because also you have to think, we're coming out of the pandemic. We have 11 resorts here on the Las Vegas Strip. Used to be 12, Mirage. We're coming out of the pandemic, and we went the total other way, right? Because there's legal restrictions, and there's, we need to ensure that we're being very succinct with our customers. So we basically homogenized all of our brands. So through this process, it was a matter of how are we getting back to the DNA of each brand, but how are we doing it talking to the right customers? Because now we know who the right customer is for every property. And so we knew we had a lot in brand marketing specifically, and actually in tech and other parts of the company, we had a lot of work to do to mend those bridges and bring all the creative people together. Are we there yet? Absolutely not. There's still people writing copy all over this company. And we're working on it, but we had to instill the sense of no longer are you just creating for the task at hand. You're creating based on what this customer needs to see and what the ethos of that brand is that needs to come through to whatever deliverable channel is you're working on.
Totally. When you find the solution for people not saving things locally on their laptop and using outdated slides, let me know.
Anyone ever fix that?
Delivering the right message to the right audience is definitely something that we all strive for. However, I think translating those kind of segmentation insights into actionable tactics, is a real feat. Arguably, that includes kind of geographical nuances and ensuring kind of local resonance. And so my next question for you is, so we know that MGM Resorts is obviously a global brand, but how do you think about localization as it relates to some of your markets? For example, let's say you probably treat the Las Vegas market a lot differently than the Detroit market.
Yeah, every market is hyper localized in terms of how we market, how we engage customers. But again, it all stems from that brand positioning at the top. Each one of our local brands, whether it's Beau Rivage in Biloxi, Mississippi, or MGM Grand Detroit in Michigan, each one of those brands at their core is a translation of our corporate brand. We fundamentally believe entertainment is a human need, and each one of those brands kind of manifests entertainment in their own way. And when it comes to actual customer segmentation and what the kind of customer experience looks like, every one of those markets is totally different, very different from Vegas. And so we have boots on the ground. Even here in Vegas, we're not a fully centralized marketing division. We have people that represent marketing directors that represent every one of the brands. And so it's the same globally. So each one of those heads of marketing is really in charge of understanding who their customer is and what their brand is and how they translate anything we're doing in the right way for their brands.
Yeah. Got it. So yeah, it sounds like it's definitely kind of like a mix of enterprise and local, and it's difficult. It's such a complex and fragmented, not only just the landscape, but even just customer habits in general. So
we're super hybrid, and it's something I'm actually really proud of. We've worked really hard over the last 2 years to create this flexible matrix of marketing talent across the company that we tap in, we tap out, but people always kind of have a home base of what they represent and what they're best at. But we're constantly using each other's skill sets wherever the need is.
That's great. I want to change gears a little bit to kind of like the media mix. And, what do you and your team do as it relates to kind of your marketing campaigns, ensuring that you're achieving the goals that you want to achieve and delivering the results that you're looking for?
My VP of media is laughing in the back of the room. There is no one thing we do. There's no kind of standard playbook, I would say. We are all on the journey to, show the value of full funnel media and the value of investment in full funnel media. And it's something that we fight every day, all day. Obviously, our performance media has very tangible KPIs that we can report back on, that our CFO, digs in on. But it's as you get into the mid and upper funnel that you're really kind of fighting for what that right mix is. And it's never perfect, right? I think we're all trying to figure out the best way to show value for everything we do, and then layer in a really complex brand architecture, and then layer in a complex geographic landscape. Every market is handled differently, but also that's because of the customer, right? 90% of our customers at MGM Grand Detroit are known. We don't get to spend a lot of media in that market. We do for other reasons, but there's no kind of standard playbook or rule. We also have seasonality that we layer into what we do, but I think for us, we're really on the journey of, are we measuring our media to the best of our ability? I won't get into attribution because we're all talking about attribution. How are we measuring it and showing value for a full funnel media approach? And that's it's a challenge, but we're chipping away at it.
What excites you most about 2023?
2023 is going to be interesting. Obviously, we have F1 coming in, so that's super exciting for us in terms of, what the role MGM plays in such a huge destination attraction. And then right on the heels of that, we have Super Bowl. We're also really focused on digital evolution. So how do we say we're, the world's premier omni-channel gaming and entertainment company? What does that really mean? And so the focus on the future of entertainment as it pertains to digital is super exciting. And then also development. We have a lot of physical development going on, some of which I can't speak about, but stay tuned. There's a lot in terms of growth for MGM Resorts that I'm really, really excited about. But my focus for next year will be, as it always is just making sure our team has the tools and the runway they need to keep creating badass content and that they do.
I know. I tell my team all the time, content is marketing and marketing is content. And it's a different way of thinking. And to your earlier point about not kind of reinventing the wheel each time, it's how do you think about something as a hub of a concept, so to speak, and then how does it just get deployed in various ways?
The game is the content, right? So how are you ensuring that your content is more premium than Netflix's content than anybody else's? Because, I'm kind of rambling at this point, but let's throw out another buzzword. Streaming wars, right? You're only as good as your next show. So how do you deal with that?
This is a question for me. You should actually speak to my colleagues that are right here sitting in front of you. But I think one of the benefits that we offer is, to your point, everybody says premium content, whether you're a digital player, you're a CTV only player, or you're a linear broadcast player. We kind of sit at the intersection of everything. And so arguably Spectrum Reach is one of the more well-positioned because we're able to actually play in all of those content pieces, whether it's linear, streaming, online video, display, search and social. Those are all of our products all at one place. And so I think that is a differentiator. The other thing too, as it relates to, it's not just the programming, because yes, of course you want to get the eyeballs, right? People are watching. And at this point in time, from a more linear perspective, it's like more, what's the word, I guess, reality-based TV shows that are kind of the highest. And then in the digital space, it's more the scripted shows now, to your point of Netflix and what have you. So I would just say that we're kind of the best of both worlds. I just think that not only that, we're now applying the fundamentals of digital to TV. So while linear has always just been this, awareness driving brand builder, but yet the measurement has not really been there in the past. The technology has now advanced to the point that we actually can provide more data-driven measurement and attribution. And so I think the fact that we've been amassing aggregated and de-identified data for the past however many decades, and we've kind of been pioneers in doing data-driven audience targeting from a local perspective way before kind of national global brands.
I was curious if you guys had, different brands have strategies on how to reach those Gen Zers sort of organically, because I know that they kind of see through the ad BS that, maybe worked in the past. So I was interested if any of the specific brands had a strategy towards reaching Gen Z to sort of make content that resonated to come and, go to your properties.
Sure. So again, it comes back to the customer and their behaviors, and just generally, Gen Z doesn't spend their discretionary income at, integrated resorts. So they've never been kind of a core customer for us, but we also know they will be, right, in the coming generations. And we also know the power and the voice that they have. And so for us, it's a couple of different things. It's one, inclusivity just in general. And so we're always creating content that, speaks to different audiences and ages. But then also we do know the online gaming customer, the sports betting customer, is Gen Z. It's a much younger, much more social forward kind of customer. So we might be attracting them through BetMGM. We might be going after them with different kind of content streams that speak more to their interests. And then how we, again, back to the data, like how we're kind of aggregating that at the end and then really pushing that omni-channel positioning. The difference we have with our differentiator from like a DraftKings or a FanDuel is that we have this unbelievable brick and mortar experience behind BetMGM. So that's how we start to drive that connection between our physical experiences and a digital experience that they are partaking in. And so it isn't this kind of blanket approach like, hey, we're going to start going after Gen Zers. It's how do we approach that right audience with the right content that actually is meaningful to them, but then get them in kind of the ecosystem. We can expose them that everything we do is not blacking out at day clubs. We do a lot more than that.
Love the new campaign with the Mannings and JB Smoove. Could you talk about some of the work that went into that, the partners you've taken, and kind of how you got to this great campaign launch?
So I'll give most of the credit to my counterpart at BetMGM, who oversees that brand, but obviously as they borrow our name, and because of, the MGM Resorts brand, we're deeply integrated with them. I think it's really as simple as we, from the very beginning, sports betting specifically, like the speaking of wars, like the advertising war around sports betting is just absolutely surreal right now. But we knew from the very beginning that we did not. Sports betting is scary. It doesn't attract most of the consumer base. It's really scary on how to get involved with that. And so we wanted to be approachable from day one. So scrutinizing over Jamie Foxx, for example, over bringing in Selena Gomez, like every single move has been incredibly tactical in terms of how are we approachable? How are we opening up sports betting? Because the first time you do it, once you learn what a parlay is, and once you learn kind of it's simple, like you can figure it out. We wanted to be the service for the people. And so it was about approachability. It was about levity. You're going to see a lot more of that. We came out kind of hard and fast and swinging with Jamie Foxx, but now it's going to be about how do we continue to be approachable so that we can create value for you doing something that you love, but also when you're not on property. And so it's all about approachability with that brand.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you, Sarah, for the hospitality.